What's up, y'all? What's up, guys? This is Hammer here. I was supposed to go live earlier, but I had to keep pushing it down. However, I was able to find time, so I said, "Oh shit, I got some time. Let me just get into it, get over it, so we can, move on with our lives, right?" Like I promise you guys, I'm definitely gonna try to put out more content, put out more stuff. I'm balancing a lot of stuff right now. But anyway, let's get into live stream. So today I'm going to be talking about two things, right? I'm going to be talking about illegal immigration. I'm going to be talking about the effects that it's going to have on society. But most importantly, I'm also going to be talking about how this will fundamentally impact Black Americans and whether or not this push for migrants from south of the border is specifically being targeted to, replace Black immigrants. I'm sorry, Black Americans, right? Because look, for the past couple of months, right, I have been hearing FBA, ADOS, Moorish. I've been hearing Black Americans, have all these hashtags online, and that's fine. But one thing I hated about a lot of these movements is that, a lot of them would say, oh, the reason we're making all these hashtag moves because we're trying to make something that is specific only to Black America, which is fine. But it almost seems like the conversation always changes into what Black immigrants are doing. I've noticed this pattern, right? So you have ADOS, FBA, Moorish, right? They're being attacked by Asians, right? They're having a conversation, right? And somehow the conversation is about Black diasporans. You have another conversation, right, about Hispanic attacking Black Americans, right? They'll have a conversation. And somehow the conversation turns into Black diasporans. And I'm just like, what? It's like, first of all, look, are there people in the Black diaspora that say some dependent things? Yeah. But they're the very minority, tiny minority. The vast majority of the attacks that Black Americans get in this country come from non-Black people. In fact, when Black immigrants come to the U.S., a lot of times they're just classified as Black. And see, what they're about to realize is that you guys have been so focused on what the Black diaspora do is that you've forgotten where the real attack comes from. And when I hear a lot of Black Americans who are so pro-America, I'm like, you're America first, but America puts you last all the time. We built this country. Yes, you did, right? You built the country. But is that really something to be proud of? I'm not think about it, right? Because I've had conversations of many who will tell me, oh, we've built this country 400 years. And I say that's true. That's 100% true. I'll deny that. But think about what you're saying, though, right? If you're saying that your labor was used to quote unquote build to help the country industrialize and to build a country, and then after all of that, you're still in the underclass. After all of that, the same country you helped to build will put a Hispanic over you. I'm like, is that really a good look? That's why I don't understand. I had a whole other video about this whole how Black Americans are calling themselves, Egyptians and Moors. I don't understand how many of them will latch on to all these different identities, whether it's Moors, Egyptians, now it's the FBA, ADOS thing, which is fine, right? But then the conversation is always around what Black diasporans are doing. But then when it comes to non-Blacks who actually put hands on them, non-Blacks who actually fuck them up day to day, all of a sudden they don't know what to do. All of a sudden now, they become powerless. It's like, look, what it seems like to me is that the reason why a lot of you guys do attack Black diaspora is because it's an easy target, right? You know that Black diasporans are part of the same racial classification, right? A lot of times they don't even try to, most of them don't even try to really bother Black men. So they're an easy target. They're not really going to go after you like that for the most part. Because once again, when it comes to America, they tend to be absorbed into the Black population. But you guys know, if you were to go really after Hispanics or Asians or white, they will put you in that underclass status quick. We had an entire march last summer with Black Lives Matter. You guys, look, I was on it too. Black Americans they will turn the streets up. And after all that energy, the United States that you guys built, keep them out, right? They real. The same country that ADOS built turns around and gives, an anti-Asian hate crime bill to Asians. Now, the George Floyd bill is still in the House, but it turned around the same country you built and gave anti-Asian crime bills to Asians. Now we have the situation with the reparations thing, right? Black Americans out here fight reparations, and I support them, right? Right? Oh, we built this country. That's 100% true. But guess what? It doesn't matter, because after everything you've done, you're still at the bottom of the society. That's the reason why after the George Floyd thing, Asians got the benefit. The reparations thing you guys did, right? What did they do? They told you don't do reparations, and now they're turning around and taking out billions of dollars for illegal immigrants. Think about this, right? You built the country, and they're telling you you don't get no reparations, but they'll turn around and give billions of dollars to illegal immigrants. Now, let's now let's now go back to the original topic, right? Because I wanted to provide the context, right? So just to kind of see just how much the country treats Black Americans like an underclass, there was a story that came out recently, right, in which illegal immigrants are now demanding citizenship. I kid you not, right? Illegal immigrants are now walking the streets, going to Congo. They're now demanding that they have citizenship in this country. Okay? Now, Black Americans, think about what's happening here. Okay, look, I'm a Black immigrant, so in many ways, it's not even my battle, because like all of you guys say, right? I'm not ADO, which is fine. So this is your battle, right? You guys have sacrificed and poured so much in the country, and yet the same country you love to wave the flag, talk about how you built the same country. You guys love being America first, but America puts you last. After all the sacrifices, everything you have poured, the country is not going to turn around and essentially give everything to illegal immigrants. But let's go ahead and play the video so y'all can see what I'm talking about. Look into the video.
On this May 1st, a May Day march into downtown Chicago by immigrants demanding a piece of the American dream.
The marchers are also calling for help for the thousands of migrants bused to Chicago and stranded by the government.
And that's also another thing, too. I'm happy to say, right? It's not just that they're prioritizing illegal immigrants over Black Americans. They're actively using them to replace you. Because a couple of days ago, right, I was, look, a couple of days ago, right, I was watching a stream by Tariq Nasheed, right? And by the way, guys, Tariq Nasheed is shit a lot, right? Because before the whole reparations thing, Tariq was all on this tethers, we're going to do it on alone, blah, blah, we're America first, fine. After Gavin Newsom and California made it very clear that they're not going to give Black American reparations, right, and essentially humiliated him, now all of a sudden Tariq is talking about how we need to unite with the Black diaspora. I'm like, come on, Tariq. We have no problem with Black Americans, okay? The fundamental issue is that if there's been this feeling that a lot of you guys go harder on the Black diaspora than the actual people who hurt you every day. Let's keep it real, right? Let's keep it real. If I were to tally up all the shit that you guys face, less than 1% of it is coming from a Black immigrant. Most of it is coming from non-Blacks. Let's be honest here. And after all this America first stuff, even though you're an underclass, I can understand a Hispanic being America first. I can understand a white being America first. I can't understand a Black American being America first. I just can't. See, if you guys were actually getting something or being treated like human beings, I could get it. But it's like, It pains me to see a group of people that get put at the bottom all the time. It's like, dude, when I think of Black Americans in America and the United States, it reminds me of a battered housewife. You know the battered housewife, right? The wife who her husband beats all the time, and she keeps loving him. That's how y'all look like. Every day getting slapped. Every day, white, Hispanic, Asians coming up, slapping, and it breaks you. It's sad to watch because there's like look. Although I don't agree with Tariq, like he is right when they said, look, Black Americans did build the country, like they play a big role, and yet they're being slapped by everyone. And now what's happening is this, right? Because look, when I was watching Tariq Nasheed, right, Tariq was trying to make this argument out. Because once Tariq realized that the Democratic Party, California, Gavin Newsom were not going to go Reparations. Once he realized Democrats were not going to do that, he was heartbroken, and he was like, "Oh well, you know what? We're going to get back at them this election season. We're going to make sure Biden." I said, Tariq, you have no leverage, okay? In fact, to be honest with you, that's the reason why they're bringing in illegal immigrants. I've said it multiple times. Look, Democrats do not like the fact that they have to rely on Black voters. They actually hate that, okay? The only reason why Democrats appeal to minority voters is because the majority of white voters vote GOP. So they have to create a coalition of quote-unquote minority white voters and quote-unquote other non-white minorities. But here's the issue, right? Democrats understand that because Black Americans are the only ones that have a real grievance, if they were to really try to solve a Black American's grievance, right, they would have to take away from everybody else, right? They would have to literally sideline every other group because Black Americans have been through so much that for you to really address their issue, you would essentially have to put 100% of your focus on them. And they realize if they do that, they will alienate white voters and other minority voters. So it is in their interest to never really address Black American grievances. That's the reason why everybody else gets tangibles, you get symbolism, right? And they hate the fact that Black Americans have so much, control over them politically because they have to rely on that as voting base. And so when you see Democrats, white liberals, shipping in migrants into Chicago, a Black city, Atlanta, come on, like, they're trying to replace you. Look at California. Now, guys, tell me in the chat. Last I checked, right, Black Americans only make up, 3% in California? Like, that's what they want. They want what white liberals want is what you see in California. They want to bring in a bunch of non-Blacks, okay? They want to bring in a bunch of non-Blacks, right, into the country, right? Use them as a buffer class and slowly diminish the number of Black Americans in the country to a point in which you're completely outnumbered, to the point in which you're politically insignificant so that nobody will care. That's the game plan. And both sides are against you. Republicans don't want your vote. Republicans are very much on doubling down on white voters. Democrats hate the fact they need your vote, and they're actively trying to replace you. Now, what do you think is going to happen in 2030, 2040, right? What do you think is going to happen, Black Americans, in 2030 and 2040, right? When both parties no longer need your vote? What is going to happen when the Democrats can now completely replace you with Asian Hispanics? You think they're going to care? Like, even now, when you guys have like real leverage, somewhat leverage, right? They still don't, address your grievances. When we get to a point where you guys are demographically insignificant and they will replace you with non-Blacks, at that point, they won't even address you. You'll be invisible. Now, Aaron here says that if a race war ever happens in the U.S., Blacks, they will lose. White America is scared that Blacks will take advantage. They will try to keep them poor and whites. Yeah, and by the way, I had this. I said, look, people keep talking about how white people are going to be. I said, look, them being a minority, that doesn't mean anything. Because here's the fundamental difference, right? If white Americans are able to get the majority of non-Black people to side with them, then they can still have what I call a majority coalition, even if they're a minority. Okay? Okay? Let's be honest here. And so what's happening, Black America, is that you guys are being put in a situation where it's literally going to be everyone against you. Think about this, right? Whites are going to be a minority. They're going to import in Asians who are anti-Black. They're going to import mestizos who are anti-Black. They're going to import middles who are anti-Black. The only folks who really are somewhat your allies are Black immigrants, because once again, guys, despite what Tariq let's say, when you look at the data, when it comes to Black immigrants, by the second and third generation, they're completely assimilated to Black Americans. So that's going to be, so that those are the only real allies you have. Once again, they make sure that they make sure not to import that many Blacks. So it's very small. Let's be honest here. And so therefore, Black Americans, despite everything you sacrifice for this country, you're going to be in a situation where literally it's going to be all the non-Blacks against you. The whites, Asians, Hispanics, everyone is going to form a coalition to attack you. He said they're importing races out in proximity one, and there's a social hierarchy. Yeah, exactly. So even if they become a minority, it's not going to matter because if the majority of non-whites and non-Blacks are on the side, it doesn't mean anything. Okay? Look, the reparations in California was never going to happen. I'm going to tell you why. Even if you guys were able to get the Congress, right? I mean, the states to approve it. Here's the fundamental issue. The biggest population in California is Hispanic. And you know what they would have done? Because look, some of one of the biggest oppositions to reparations were actually minorities. Hispanics would have sued in court to block it. Okay? Let's be honest here. The reason why the reparation in California was never going to happen is largely because, let's be honest here, Black Americans, okay? Those Hispanics would have sued in court, and whites would have supported them. Guys, remember when you had the quote-unquote, remember when Congress passed that bill that would essentially pay back Black farmers, right? They passed a bill in Congress in order to pay Black farmers for discrimination. White people sued, and the courts blocked it. That's what would have happened. And by the way, because the Supreme Court is majority conservatives, right? They would have lost. So, in other words, even if you would have magically got the state to approve it, all of the non-Blacks would have come together, sued you in court, and won the case. Especially considering the fact that you have a conservative Supreme Court. So, with all of this happening, I don't understand when I hear FBA and ADOS talking about how they built the country. Yes, you did, but what do you have to show for it? Can somebody in the chat tell me what Black Americans have to show for all of the sacrifice in this country? Somebody tell me, because all I see is Hispanics being put over you. All I see is Asians being put over you. Aaron says, Black Americans need a piece of the U.S. and cut themselves off. They need their own country. That'll never happen, okay? In fact, look, Black Americans already had that opportunity when it came to Liberia. Look, I understand the point of view, right? America was more developed, so for them, being sent to go to a whole new country, what they fear is that the whites will deport them there and essentially just leave them there, right, and not help them out. So they chose to stick it out. That's fine. But look, you guys could have easily went with Liberia and you chose to stick it out, and that's great. You sacrificed a lot for the country, and okay, and so okay, you chose to not go to Liberia and stay in America and fight, and that's brave, and you guys succeeded. But in the end, you really have nothing to show for it. And it truly breaks my heart because the story, look, I'm going to keep real with you guys. When I look when I look at Black Americans, they remind me of the people of the Congo and how the Congolese have suffered so much due to King Leopold. But at least the Congo have their own country. Black Americans are literally a nationless people, which is worse. So their pain is worse to me. Right? And so to see a group of people where they've been abused so much, and yet they fly the flag, and yet they're so America first, and the country spits in their face every day. I'm like, it's sad to watch. It really is. Aaron said, other blacks can always go to their nameland. They can wear black. Well, once again, right? Here's what I would say. Naturally, Black Americans will need to go to Africa, right? But here's the thing: the population is too big. What would have to happen is that Black Americans would have to shrink in population, where they're at least, I would say, 1-2 million. I think when the population is small enough, then they'll be able to, I think, easily go to an African nation or some of that, right? But as of now, Black Americans are what, 13%? The population is too big for them to really go to any African country. But to be honest with you, Aaron, looking at how things are going, that's the only future Black Americans have. Because it is going to get to a point where by the time we get to 1,000, you guys will probably be like 3-4% of the population in the country. You'll be outnumbered. Like it's really good going to get to that point. Okay? And it's sad to watch. Okay? But anyway, let's continue the video, because here's the quote unquote fundamental issue here, right? Because now you're seeing how they're purposely trying to replace Black Americans in this country, right? Now, folks will say, oh, what about the whites? Look, you have to understand, it's white people at the top that are allowing illegal immigrants to come. It's not the same thing. Whites at the top are allowing immigrants to come, right? Largely because it's a cheap labor force for the most part. They can use it as a buffer class, right? Like, even though whites will be a minority, they benefit the most from having a buffer class of Hispanics. Black people don't benefit from that. That's the difference. But let's keep going.
Governor of Texas, Dane Placco, has more now from Federal Plaza.
Well, you have to feel strongly about something to come out and march on a day like this, but that's certainly true of those celebrating May Day here in Chicago by demanding immigration reform. Despite a cold, blustery rain, about 40 people gathered at Union Park on Chicago's west side, then marched into the Loop in Federal Plaza, demanding a path to citizenship for the estimated 12 million.
Y'all. Do you guys see this nonsense? Do y'all see this? You have illegal immigrants walking in the streets with their, now they're carrying their national flag. And as I said, this is what Black Americans don't have. Every other group, and by the way, Aaron perfectly said this, right? Every other group in this country has a homeland that supports them. You guys don't. Now, you're going to have an ADOS say, we have America. No, you don't. Okay? Stop that. The United States does not support Black Americans. Okay? In fact, America views you as an unwanted population, and they treat you like that every day. Let's be honest here. Okay? So when you look at this video, right? You have illegal immigrants who are carrying their flag. They're carrying the home country's flag. They're carrying the Mexican flag, the Venezuelan flag. In other words, even though they live in America, they have a country, a homeland that backs them. So if anything goes wrong, they always have a home to go back to. Black Americans don't have that. And no, Black Americans, America is not your country. You guys, ever since you came to America, you have been the underclass. You have been the unwanted population. And the country still treats you to this day. That's why it's funny to me when I see a folks flying the flag. It's like, dude, that same flag will kill you. You know, you're going out to find the flag. I'm pro-America, but then you get in the car and the cop and the same cop guns you down with the flag. But when it comes to the illegal immigrant who literally has the Mexican flag, think about it, right? An illegal immigrant from South America who has the nation flag, an illegal immigrant from Mexico who has the Mexican flag, right? They will get better treatment than a black American wearing the American flag. Carlos can walk down the street with a Mexican flag and the police will respect him. You, as a black American, carry the American flag and you get gunned down. But folks want to come to me talking about how they built America. Yes, you built America, but guess what? America still hates you. You built America, but everything you built went to the white majority, and you have nothing to show for it. Come on. Let's keep going.
Million undocumented people who've been living and working in the United States for years. They say May Day, an international workers' rights holiday, is the right time to ask for immigration reform because they make up such a large part of the American economy.
We demand.
Yeah, of course you do. Of course you do. Because if I'm importing millions of people from South America, yeah, of course you're going to make up a large population.
Biden, the administration, he listened to the people. He listened, he make a reform, immigration reform for the people that stay here for long.
And also another thing you guys need to understand is that you're going to get your as well black immigrants. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Yes and no, because Aaron tells us, right? When it comes to black immigrants, right, even if they're second, third generation, right, for many of them, let's be honest here, they always have a home to kind of go back to. Even if it'll take, even if they don't know the language, have to go like, you know, in other words, right, like many of them know that if I'm third, fourth, 5, 6, 7, like I'm giving an example, right, you'll see a Haitian who comes to United States or Jamaica, right? Let's say after 5 generations, they're completely assimilated, right? But they still know that their family lineage came from Jamaica. Now, if they choose to go to Jamaica, that's fine. But it's like they always have a place or a national, a homeland they can go back to. Black Americans don't. Let's be honest here. Okay? Let's be honest here. And my thing is that, well, actually, really, the only true homeland for black Americans is West Africa. But the problem is that you guys are too big of a population. So it's too many people. That's right. Okay? Okay? There's too many of you guys. I think when your population is small enough, then it will be easier for you to go to places and kind of be absorbed, right? Because let's be honest here, most of these African countries don't want to have a whole flood, right? But yeah, look, let's be honest here, black immigrants are going to definitely get it too. I'm not, look, when I walk out this house, everyone views me black. I know that. But I think what I'm saying is that, right, no, that's not their best bet. That's actually not their best bet. Because once again, most of these groups don't even want to intermarry with black folks. That's what's crazy. The vast majority of these if you go to museums, right, like black people actually rank the lowest. Most of these groups don't want to intermarry with you. So it's like they'll go to slowly, quote unquote, replace you. But the reason why I'm saying, because I know that as a black immigrant, I'm definitely gonna get hit. But I think the difference is that I understand that, hey, I am the underclass in the country, right? I don't have this magical view of America. The issue is that black Americans, they have this magical view of America that, because he sacrificed so much, America is, the same country that has undermined you this whole time somehow is going to start treating you like human beings. No. That's the difference. But let's keep going.
The marchers are also asking for more help and money for the 8,000 migrants who've been bused to Chicago.
Y'all see this, right? He said white people damn Africa and live in white people. Once again, if you're talking about South Africa, that's a separate issue. But once again, white people run the world, right? Right now, we live under Western hegemony. The United States and Western Europeans, they are at the top of the globe. They run South America, Middle East. It's not Africa. Okay? Okay? That's the reason why right now they're having this geopolitical battle with China. Because the center of power is slowly moving from the west to the east. And so when China officially surpassed the U.S. in 2030, right, and the center of the center of the global economy goes from the west to the east, yeah, look, by 2050, the top 20 economies in the world are going to be in Asia. So don't yeah, now, but the way things are going is like by the middle of this century, right, Western hegemony, right. And Western hegemony and American imperialism will slowly be replaced. Okay, the center, China and look, by 2050, China and Asia, they will lead the globe. Okay, don't get it twisted. By 2050, China and the Asians will lead the globe. They will be they will make up the majority of the top 20 economies in the world. They will be the biggest economic bloc. They will be the center of industrial capitalism. Let's be honest here. Okay? He said, why isn't South Africa home most of the one and have the support ones? Yeah, they do, yeah. It's like if Chinese move Zimbabwe, they will support from China. They will support from China Africans. So, well, actually, now here's the thing, right? Here's the difference, though, right? Here, no, the whites will not be empowered. That's the whole point, right? Once Asia becomes a hegemonic power, right, the whites will lose their position. That's the whole point. That's what they're afraid of. That's what's coming. I'm like, look at the Ukraine war. Okay, they no longer have most countries in the global South are not backing Ukraine. Like they're losing their position. They're losing their position. China is now surpassing them economically. Okay? Because remember, being the hegemonic power means that that means you're top of the globe. Once you become the top dog, you have the power. That's what they're afraid of. China has been bullying Australia for the past couple of months now, threatening sanctions. Going back to Aaron, he said whites in South Africa hold most of the world and have the support of the Western world. Neocolonialism was still at play. If China moves Zimbabwe, they will support China. Yeah, but here's the issue here, right? Right? China, look, let me just be honest here, right? Chinese people are racist. Okay? Chinese people and Asians are extremely anti-black and extremely racist. But here's what separates them from the whites, right? They are offering, right, black Africans the same deal white people offer the Chinese. People need to understand, after World War II, China was a poor country. In fact, they were poorer than most African states. The United States did not like the CCP, but they went to Mao Zedong, they went to Tashkent, and they offered a deal. The deal was, hey, if you break from the Soviet Union, right, we are willing to essentially give you the opportunity to economically industrialize. Okay? And so, in other words, so in exchange for quote unquote China's cheap labor, right, they will get intellectual property and they'll go to industrialize. That was the deal. Okay? Open up your borders, the West will come and invest, and you will industrialize. China took the deal. And so now they're now becoming the center of industrial capitalism. They're offering, right, Africa the same deal. Aaron says it will become the century of the Asia races, the colonialism, the West will. Yeah, dude, I told you, like this century, yeah, is the century, but the next century is the African century. Like, dude, I already know that, right? But the difference is that they're offering black Africans the same deal that the whites offered the Asians. They're giving you the opportunity to industrialize. And so, yeah, this century is going to become the Asian century, but the next century will become the African century. People need to understand, right? When it comes to the global economy, demographics is key. Okay? When Asia started to come up, right? Asia was the most populated region in the globe. They had the biggest population. Okay? And so over time, the center of the global economy, the center of the civilization, shifted towards them. They were able to pull economic activity to the continent. Guess what? The only continent that is growing demographically is Sub-Saharan Africa. China is shrinking. Every country, most countries in Asia is shrinking right now. They're going through the same demographic bust the Europeans are going through. So yeah, this century is going to be for Asia. Right? But by the time we get to 21,000, right? The only region that is growing demographically is Sub-Saharan Africa. So Sub-Saharan Africa, elaborate how the necessary Africa. I don't see Asians with numbers. Actually, they are doing numbers. All of the Asian societies that are post-industrial or demographically shrinking. Japan, South Korea, Thailand, China. And even when it comes to India, right? India just hit its peak. Because it's projected that India is going to shrink after. India right now is just hitting its peak because it just recently surpassed China demographically. Right? And you're seeing, and by the way, you're seeing now as India is starting to become demographically, huge, they're attracting more and more industrial economic activity. And it's already projected that really by 2050, the population will start to shrink because their birth rate is already at 2. So once their birth rate falls below 2, they'll start to shrink too. All of Asia in general, right? Indonesia is starting to shrink. What are you talking about? Like, remember, you have to, Aaron, you have to understand how the industrial cycle works, right? First, you start off, okay? Right? You grow demographically, you become huge. Once you reach your peak demographically, right, you can then leverage your large population to attract economic activity, right? Because other countries, other businesses are going to view you as a source of cheap labor, as a source of market, as a place to sell goods. That's how Asia, right, was able to leverage the population. They were after World War II, Asia was the most popular continent, right? They were able to leverage the large demographics to attract economic activity, to attract investment, right? To quote unquote leverage the fact that they had a big market, because remember, if your population is huge, right? If your population is huge, you have the manpower for the most part, right? You have the cheap labor, and you have the markets. And you have the markets. Right? That's why people say demographics is key. Right? If you have a bigger population, you have the manpower, you have the quote-unquote labor force, the cheap labor, and you have the markets. In other words, you have people who can buy. Robots cannot buy things, right? Because remember, the way capitalism works is it's about profits. In order for you to make profits, you need to have as much buyers as possible. So when your region is the most populated, right? When your region has the most people, right? You are going to attract economic activity because other countries, other businesses, other investors, they will see you. Oh, this region, right, has a lot of people, which means what? Manpower, labor force, right? Markets. If we invest in that region because of a massive population, right, we will be able to get more productivity and more profits. The global economy is operating under industrial capitalism. Industrial capitalism, capitalism in general, is based on endless growth. So the whole idea is to always try to expand, right? Always try to expand to increase your growth. And what ends up happening is that once you go through the full industrial cycle, right, you start to reach the limits of growth. Look at China. China used to have double-digit GDP in the past, but now China only has single. Like in the past, they were getting 12, 13%. Now they're getting with 4 or 5 because why? Because China has essentially went through the entire industrial cycle. So now China has reached what we call the slowly reaching the limits of growth. That's the reason why, in order for them to continue growing, they have to expand their economics to other regions. They have to invest in other places. The reason why China is building so much infrastructure overseas is because domestically there's not that much demand anymore. They've built so much. And so for them to keep making money off, they've reached the limits of profits when it comes to infrastructure with no country. So they have to go overseas. That's how capitalism works. Endless growth. You try to extract as much profit within your own economy, and when you reach the limit, you expand somewhere else. And so yes, the demographic is shrinking. Oh, Aaron replied. Aaron said, "Oh, I just checked statistics. Damn, yes, you're correct. The declining in numbers, more Africans only soon. Do you think with the immigrant Africa will take Europe?" I'm like, look, when it comes, Europe is demographically done. They're demographically done. Okay? They're demographically done. And so, yes, do I think, yeah, I think that if the migration will go and then they'll be replaced. But this is what people need to fundamentally understand, right? And I'm happy with today, right? That's the reason why everyone across the world is running to Africa right now. That's the reason why. Everybody knows that Africa is next in line. Demographic is key. They're the only continent growing. And so by 21,000, they will become the most popular region in the world. And so the way it works is that once they become the most popular region in the world, right? In order for countries around the world, because remember, the global economy operates under capitalism, right? Endless growth. So in other words, once Asia completely finishes the industrial cycle, they will reach the limits of growth and it will sort of shrink. And so by 21,000, when Africa becomes the most popular region in the world, right? They will start to attract economic activity. They will start to attract investment. Because countries around the world realize, hey, the only place left where you have large manpower, large labor force, and a large consumer base is sub-Saharan Africa. So if we want to increase our profits, if we want to continue to grow the global economy, if we want to grow our economies, we have to go to Africa. And so this century is the Asian century. The next century is the African century. And that's the reason why it is fucking dumb when I see Black Americans trying to separate themselves from that's why it's fucking dumb when I see Black Americans saying folks tethers. Why are you trying to cut yourself off from your homeland when your homeland is the future? Africa is the fucking future. And you're trying to cut. It's like you're literally about to get replaced in United States. And at the same time, you're trying to cut yourself from your homeland when your homeland is going to be the future. It's like it's dumb to me. But anyway, yeah, over to the homeland. They will. It will. Okay, it will. And look, Aaron. It's not complicated. Pay attention to geopolitics. Why do you think Russia, China, Europe, why do you think, dude, just a couple of weeks ago, the Prime Minister of Japan was in Africa? Why do you think all of them are going there? Okay, they know that's the future. That's why, for me, it never made any sense why Black America will try to cut themselves off. Like, dude, that's your only homeland. Look, Black Americans, I hate to break it to you. The United States is not your homeland. America is a place you live, okay? There's a difference. The United States is simply a place you live. It's not your homeland. Get that through your head, okay? But anyway, let's go ahead and continue the stream. Let's see what's going on here.
by Texas Governor Greg Abbott and who are currently living in police stations and other public facilities because of the lack of shelter space.
These shameful games are costing people's lives. We see suicide rates in these now detention centers because that's what they are. They are migrants and refugees.
Organizers say today's rally will pale in comparison to a much larger march planned in early August to demand action in Washington. At Federal Plaza, Dane Placco, Fox.
Yeah, they already they already. Look, Black Americans, this is your future. Okay? And to be honest, Black immigrants too. We got to include ourselves because let's be honest, you're like in America because us Black. This is the future. It's going to be everyone against Black people. That's what's coming. It's going to be everybody against Blacks in America. He says, yes, it is. I'm blaming the U.S. The anti-Africanism is logical. Yeah, it is. Beloved Strummer says, yo, Hammer, do you think the Western will collapse or balkanize? Both. Both. You have to understand, right? When you look at the EU, the only thing that has kept the European Union together is money. Because there is a major cultural split between Western Europe and Eastern Europe. So once Europeans lose their economic prowess, once the EU lose their economic power, the EU will break up. Europe will break up. They will go back to fighting each other. Okay? And by the way, the Ukraine war is a great example of that. So it will both. And of course, once Europe starts to break, America's next. Because I'm right, the United States uses Europeans or the European continent as a proxy to maintain hegemony. So once Europe breaks up and starts to really balkanize, America's next too. Because remember, the only thing keeping the EU together is money. Once the money goes away, Europeans will go right back to killing each other. Hispanics will not give a flying fuck about Black when they become they will still become. Yeah, and by the way, look, Hispanics identify more with the European heritage. So it's like when I hear Black Americans talking about how, oh, we're gonna do Black and brown, like what? Who told you this? Who told you this? Who told you this Black and brown nonsense? There is no Black and brown out here. Most of these mestizos coming across the border do not identify with Black Americans, Black people. They identify more with white people. They identify more with the European heritage. Okay? And so what's gonna happen is it's gonna end up being whites, Hispanics, Asians. In other words, it's gonna be everybody against Blacks. That's what's coming. It's going to be everyone. Aaron said just a few weeks ago, the president reached got entire. Yeah, I told you that too. Everyone knows Africa's the future. The world does not see Blacks in America. That thank you, and that's what, bro. Somebody quote him. Put that on a t-shirt. I've been trying to tell this to Black America all the time. Yes, I understand that as a Black immigrant living in the U.S., I'm going to get hit. That's smart. But here's the thing. I have never viewed America as my homeland. America is simply a place I live. I understand that. I know that as a Black person in America, I'm the underclass. But it's like Black Americans they have convinced themselves where they actually believe the country accepts. No, the United States views you as an unwanted population. And they treat you as an unwanted population all the time. So it's like, you guys are America first, but America put you last. And now, think about this, right? You guys have sacrificed so much for this country, and the same country that you built is now putting Hispanics over you. She said, Hispanics are purposely being used as a buffer class. White people know they are dying off, studying a new non-Black group to replace them. Yeah, and it's not just them. It's every non-Black group. Asians, everyone else. They're all together. He says, how will you bring this message to Black America? Is this quite the... I don't think you can put this right in public. How do you bring it? Dude, look, I'm sorry. I am going to make my videos, put them public, and let Black America make a decision. Okay? I am going to tell the world the hard truth. Now look, it's up to them. If they want to believe me, fine. If they don't want to, fine. But guess what? It doesn't change that what I'm saying is true. Because guess what? As time goes on, Black Americans are going to see what I'm talking about. You're going to start seeing Hispanics taking over. You're going to start seeing Spanish in your neighborhoods. You're going to start seeing Hispanics talk about how they build America. Y'all, it's going to get to a point where Hispanics are going to say they built America, but not Black Americans. It's going to get to a point where Hispanics will start saying that they created hip-hop. It's going to get to a point where Hispanics are going to start claiming everything Black Americans did. So yeah, keep playing around. Taking by power, and no way the power that will be let you do that. Thank you, but brother, that's the reason why, right? The only thing that gets traction is stupid stuff like tethers, or we're gonna like, dude. Once again, everybody understands that as a group of people, you need a homeland behind you. Asians, Hispanics, Middle Eastern, when they come to America, it doesn't matter if they're a minority, they have nation states behind them. Everyone knows this. Only Black Americans believe that if they hug the flag, they'll be okay. White Americans can get away with that because, once again, they're the majority in the control society. But you're the only group that doesn't have a homeland or a nation state behind you. That's the reason why Asians can be a minority and still get all kind of shit, because, once again, they have all of Asia behind them. You should do a live on being Black in tech IT for Black people since you work in it. Yeah, maybe I should, because, look, when it comes to being a Black person in IT, dude, once again, you are the token Negro. Like, so many times where I'm the only Black person in the space. Furthermore, most African Americans won't even support it. America, dude, once again, I disagree with you. I believe that Black Americans, they have sacrificed for the country, and I believe Black Americans genuinely believe that because of all the sacrifice, right, the country reward them. I think once they start to see that, once the Black Americans realize that the United States would rather import another group of people than to do right by them, I think they'll wake up. Once it becomes clear that after all the sacrifices, white people will rather give the country to Hispanics than to do right by them, they'll wake up. Most non-Black lines are temporary, and for the going to be Black, yeah, let's be honest here. We got some more people here. Akua Obeng says they're literally raiding Hispanic mafia and gays killing people. They're not them friend, Black and brown. Yeah, it's not, and they need to realize that. How many Blacks are advocating for autonomy? More, yeah. But dude, once again, I sympathize with Black. I understand their pain. Put yourselves in their shoes. They have been here for almost 400 years. They've sacrificed they had the opportunity to go to Liberia, and they said no. They sacrificed their entire existence in this country. And so imagine the people who they've literally sacrificed everything, and now they're being told, yeah, everything you sacrifice is means nothing. I'm like, that's hard. That's hard to tell a Black American. So I understand the plane. Hispanics, yeah, dude, they already have a Hispanic month, okay? Yeah, in my shirt there was Latino month, Hispanic literally so and so as one couple. Yeah. Black Americans are pushing this crap, Aboriginal American are trying to cut. That's what makes this so fucking dumb. Because Africa, this was so crazy, right? This century is the Asian century. The next century is the African century. Africa is next in line to be the center of the global economy. They're literally next in line. Your motherland is next in line. And you're trying to cut yourself off. It makes no sense. It's like in the United States, you're being outnumbered. Like Black Americans are being pushed against the wall. And at the same time, you want to cut yourself off from the continent, your motherland. And your motherland is next in line. Your motherland is literally coming up. And now you want to. It's like you're literally in a situation where you guys could potentially be completely replaced, right? and your motherland is literally coming up, and now you want to curse it off. It's dumb to me. When Hispanics take over, the country is going to over country and is going to be born, so let's going to flee. No, that's not what's going to happen. If you believe that, yeah, they will come here instead. They will work with the whites, with the non-blacks. They will form a coalition of no Negroes. Let me say this again. They will form a majority coalition called No Negroes. And it's going to be everyone but Black Americans. Everyone but Black people. It's coming. What y'all watch. That's going to happen. And you guys will slowly dwindle in population to like what, 2%. And at that point, even the Democratic Party won't even talk to you anymore. You guys will get the Native American. Bruh, Black Americans are going to get the Native American treatment. Yes, it's great, but here's the thing, bruh. It's, once again, it's not over, right? Because here's the issue. Globally, Africa is next in line. The Black motherland is next in line. So in this century, right, we had the Asian century. And so because China and Asia are coming up, all of the Asians here in America are doing better, right? They have a motherland to back them. The next century is the African century. So in other words, when the African century comes and the center of power is in the motherland, right, there will be hope for Black Americans. Because if Black Americans are able to then reconnect to the motherland, they will have the backing of the motherland. And once they have the back of the motherland, then they can flip the tables. Because once you are in the African century and the center of power is in the hands of Black Africans, if Black Americans are able to get the backing of Black Africans, then yes, they will be able to flip the tables. But if they don't do that, then yes. If they don't do that, then over time, they'll slowly be absorbed and it'll be over. Brother, World War III is going to be economics. Okay? World War III is going to be an economic battle. Without sport, the blast was done, but yet more about yeah, that's true. Dude, everybody understands this, right? The power you have in a foreign country is relative to how powerful you are as a group, how powerful your motherland is. Asians are strong in America because Asia is strong. Chinese people are strong in America because China is strong. They have a motherland that backs them. That's why it's dumb when I see Black Americans trying to cut us out, especially when the African century is coming. When the African century comes and the center of power, right, goes into Africa, right, Black Africans will be at the top of the globe. And when Black Africans are at the top of the globe, the entire Black diaspora is going to be empowered, including Black Caribbeans, including Black people and Black people who live in foreign lands, including Black Americans. Because now they will have a motherland that backs them. But if they decide to cut themselves off and just be, American, that's fine. The United States is going to put you're going to wave the flag, talking about how I'm not African, I'm American. That's great. And America will turn around and gun you down. Let's be honest here. Okay? But let's keep going to the next video.
Welcome to The Factor Uncensored. A Houston couple says they went to open a checking account at a bank and was told, no, we only serve Asians at this bank. Now let that marinate for a second and take a look at this.
All of this is according to a lawsuit filed on the couple's behalf in Harris County. They're Janice and Jonathan Brown. The Browns say that experience happened at American First National Bank last year. Instead of being welcomed as new clients, the husband and wife said they were turned away from the Asian-owned bank, alleging employees told them they do not serve Black people. According to the lawsuit filed with the courts, the story took another turn after bank chairman Henry Wu learned about how the couple was treated. That turn allegedly involved an expensive dinner, an expensive trip to Las Vegas, and a $100,000 loan that was later pulled, according to the lawsuit. We've reached out to Bank Chairman Wu and American First National Bank. They called us back, but would only say they wanted a meeting in person, but would not commit to a statement or interview about the lawsuit. The couple joins us now with their attorney, Jared Woodfield.
Again, we have reached out to Henry Wu and American First National Bank for response in this case. They have not issued a comment. However, they said they want to only meet us in person, but they would not say if they would comment or commit to.
Yeah, and that's the reality. The guy said, all right, but what if the Chinese come Africa? Dude, once again, right, when the center of power, when the center of industrial capitalism moves to Africa, right, they'll be able to build an industrial base and they'll be able to build an industrial army, right? China right now, right, what? They're slowly becoming the military power of the globe. Once you become the industrial center of the globe, right, you're able to then industrialize your military and become stronger than anybody else. That's how it works. Once you become the center of the globe, the center of the global economy, the military comes next. He says, you really think blacks and Latinos are going to shoot Black people are not going? Bruh, once again, numbers matter. If you are outnumbered 10-1, it doesn't matter how many guns you have. You will get gunned down. If you're in a neighborhood where it's 90% Hispanic and it's only, what, 2% Black, you will get gunned down. Okay? What are you talking about? But I'm gonna close it off here because I have to go some time. But this is this right here, this case, this is the future of Black America. They go to an Asian, they go to a bank, and they're told only Asians can come here. With that being said, y'all, I'm going to leave it there. Make sure to subscribe. Hammer out.